All right, the next job on this little tractor, arguably the most important, is to do something about this seat, which, as you can see, is pretty much just sitting on a bit of tin at this point. Some kind of rubber mat stuck to it, but it's pretty ordinary, I can tell you from experience. If we have a look on the underside here, it is fitted to the original seat slide. I'm not sure what's going on here. Looks like some kind of skateboard wheel. Originally they came out with springs there, a steel spring with a bolt through the center. There's basically no compression, so that's just acting like a spacer at this point. And you can see that the rubber bushings on the front seat mounts are well and truly flogged out as well. And the slide's just about to fall to pieces. There's bits and pieces falling out of it, which is great. So I've got a new seat to go on this, a universal fit seat, but I think we're going to start by pulling this whole slide assembly off, pull the seat off, get down to the original base there and see exactly what we're dealing with. So as with most old agricultural machinery, the deeper we get, the further the plot thickens. So seat bracket, the slider is removed. You can see this thing's just falling to bits. Hard to imagine a sliding seat mechanism that could survive in an open cab tractor. So I think it's pretty good to last as long as it has. But what we found underneath is this whole bracket assembly here is not original, and that's been bolted on, covering the original seat mounting positions, which is not a huge deal, apart from the fact that you can see here the angle of this front plate is way off compared to the angle of these back plates, and they're where the mounting rails of the seat were. So it was essentially trying to bend the mounting rails with those bolts tight, which is also probably the main reason why it's started to degrade, got to the state that it has. So we're going to pop off this whole plate, see what's under there. We should be back to original tractor at that point, and make up the new mounting brackets from there, because I do not see this serving a purpose for us at all. So off it comes. So that is our plate removed. Your guess is as good as mine with what was intended here. It's pretty sturdy, but what we have beneath is back to our original Kubota equipment. From the parts manual, it appears that this hole here was the original mounting point for the rear seat base, and these were the forward mounting points. So from here, we'll sit our new seat on, mock it up, and see how much modification we're going to need to make this thing work. Given this surface a very quick clean here and exposed what looks to be two M8 threads in there, there is still threads in there, but it'll need a good chase with a tap to see whether they are salvageable in their current state, whether they need a little bit of work with a heli coil or something similar to that. But we will have a look at our new seat. So I've picked up this seat aftermarket made by a company called Bearco, which is a great Australian company that produces aftermarket tractor and implement parts. And as you can see, it has a little bit more give than what we started with, so it should be a bit more comfortable. Now, a couple of things, constraints and bits that we're going to have to overcome to get this seat on. The lever to raise and lower the 3-point is going to be the main constraint. So as you can see, that seat does not sit on the tractor. It's pushed across by that lever. We've lost about 200 mil or 8 inches of height by removing those brackets, the lower bracket and the slider, which placed the base of the original seat up quite a bit higher. The original seat is also narrower. So what you can see is basically got two options. Change the position of the lever, raise the seat right up, or both. Raising the seat is going to have to happen, but we don't want to go too high on that as these machines are unstable enough as they are, so we don't want to increase the centre of gravity any more than we have to. However, this guard's still loose from when we did our hydraulic repair earlier. When this guard is mounted, the fender, we do only have a very small amount of clearance on this lever, so we can get a little bit more clearance on the seat by changing the bend in this lever and running it considerably closer to the fender. There's no reason why it can't run, very close without obviously contacting it, but that's not going to quite get us enough. So we're going to have to move this lever over and make a seat bracket that raises the seat height up to around or just above this bend in the lever there. We don't want to change the lever too much more than that because it is a high priority lever when you're operating the machine. You want to be able to quickly grab that and raise your 3-point up if you do have an issue with your implement. So we'll try and keep that as accessible as possible. So from now, it's basically just a case of measuring up our mounting positions. I would like to use these two original mounting points there, and then we can tension this chain bracket down, as that also carries the linkage for the 3-point. So we sort of want to have that mounted to the tractor as snug as possible. So we'll either use the threads that are there or repair those threads. And then the only other thing we need to overcome is the difference in height between the front and the rear mounting points. See, it drops down there. So we'll put a straight edge across here, measure that drop, measure the mounting pattern, and model something up on CAD to space this seat up. So I've got all the pieces back from the CNC plasma cutter. So you can see they've all come out looking exactly like we modelled them in CAD. So I'll show you how they lay out on the machine here. So we've got our rear mount piece. Just going to go into those M8 threads there. Our forward mount piece here is going to pick up those two M10s. And then we've got our upright. So this is the first piece that we're going to get tacked on and set up in position. And that's going to sit on those two base plates like that. and that's going to set the height for our seat rails. So we're going to chase out those M8 threads there with a tap, get these two bolted in position, get this center support squared up and put a couple of tacks on it. Just with the TIG, we'll just put a couple of little ones without filler rod on there, get that squared up, and from there we'll tack the rest of it together, sit the seat on and see how it's all looks mocked up, and if we're happy, we'll weld that out. Right, we've welded out that bottom assembly on the tractor with the TIG, so it welds there. Obviously, I am a mechanic, not a welder, so don't judge that too heavily. What we're going to do now is tack it onto our top mount, so the sliding seat rails mount to. We'll tack it there, get it square, weld it out, and that should be enough for us to bolt it together and give it a bit of a mock-up on the tractor and see what it looks like. So I'll grab the welder now and put some little tacks on that. Okay, so there we have it, the finished product welded out. We're going to chuck some primer and a bit of paint on that now. That'll be cap yellow because that's pretty much all we use around here, and we're going to fit this to the tractor and finish up this seat. Okay, there we have it. Seats finished off. See it there. So we did end up putting it on a slider. So we've got big range back and forth, and you can see over here a little bit of a bend into this 3-point lifter lever, and that clears no problem at all now. And you can see how sturdy that is there, no flex at all. Picked up the original mounting bolts and the height has come out perfect. So with that, we are calling the seat done.